Let's call the work session for the July 25th board meeting to order. First thing's the pledge, led tonight board member Jeff Jordan. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. All right, anybody have any questions on the agenda or comments or weather forecast or anything? About the consent agenda? All right. Move right along. No visitors, recognitions will be Thursday. Boy Scouts Thursday, Girl Scouts. Transportation.
Okay. Number 9, transportation. You'll see the 2019-20 priority list for bus contracts. First priority list listed, and then the second priority list.
Looks like we've got a few to fill, don't it?
Just a few.
Any questions on that? Okay. Number 10, curriculum and instruction.
Yeah, number 10, our instructional department has been working very hard at the conclusion of the year, looking at some of the things we're getting back. And in order to build capacity with teachers within not only our schools but our district, we're proposing this process. And if I could have Dr. Sullivan come up, because he and his staff have been working very hard with this, if you'll come on up and kind of go over this with us.
All right, good evening. Basically what we are looking at doing is, so in looking at our curriculum and instruction department, we started looking at how are we allocating some of our professional development funds, and we found that a lot of our funds are being used for vendors and different professionals and experts to come outside and visit our schools and work with our schools. We are under the belief that we have a lot of experts in our own county, that we really want to start using our professional development funds to support those teachers instead. Our curriculum and instruction department is going to take the lead on this. We're going to have monthly meetings. Each school was allocated a certain number of positions based on how many tested area subjects they have. So elementary, for example, has 6 allocated positions for 3rd grade English, 3rd grade math, 4th grade English, 4th grade math, 5th grade English, 5th grade math, and that's just an example. Really we want to build this to be larger, but trying to make it sustainable at first. And we're going to be focusing on, at the very beginning, really what does solid instruction look like, then looking at how do we analyze data, and then really moving into, as far as curriculum, what does our curriculum look like in the county? And instead of building and having some other expert come out and tell us what our curriculum looked like, we felt it was best practice to really talk to our educators who every single day look at our curriculum. And so this is not any necessarily money that hasn't been used in the past. It's just instead of allocating it to outside vendors, allocating it to our own teachers who are doing the work anyways.
And one of the things we did was kind of look at those teachers that have a proven track record as far as success in the classroom, and along with some leadership roles that they played within their school. And I think this is great on their part. I think it was a very good decision on the part of curriculum and instruction department, and I know this is going to pay dividends for us.
Absolutely. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Number 11.
And number 11 is the automation software for ESL, and what this does is curriculum instruction. They're requesting that we purchase this for our teachers to use for individual learning plans. Its cost is $38,000. It is required for updating of the live forms of DocuPhase, which complies with the ESL regulation.
Questions on that? Okay. Facilities? No.
Currently, we don't have any.
that's an easy one. 13, contract between Rutherford County School Board and Tennessee Orthopedic.
We're very excited about this. The contract agreement between the Rutherford County Board of Education and Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance. The TOA is seeking to partner with the Rutherford County Board of Education in order to provide physicians at all home games, high school football games and jamborees and all playoff games, and away semifinal and final games. The TOA shall pay the Rutherford County Board $250,000 per year of the contract. In exchange, TOA will receive preferential opportunities for advertisement, including placement of marketing materials, a display of signage at games, and two game announcements. The TOA has agreed to other services such as providing standing physician orders for Rutherford County athletic trainers, guaranteeing a free annual exam event, conducting training for the Rutherford County athletic trainers, and creating branded shirts for all athletic trainers. This contract will run for 1 year with an option to allow automatic renewal for an additional 2-year period. I know that Mr. Sandvig and his staff have worked on this, and I think and I know some of our board members have been speaking with this in the past. I think it's a pretty good opportunity to partner with TOA.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that they want to stay with us.
That is excellent, really.
I agree.
That's terrific.
Special education.
Hold on. You don't want to say anything about, you're part of it too now. So I forgot, I left him out. So we appreciate you for doing what you did too. All right, special education contract agreements. These are amendments. The first amendment is the contractual agreement with Special Kids Incorporated. The contract with Special Kids Incorporated for special education related to nursing services. These services will provide speech and language, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and nursing services in Rutherford County schools, students, special kids facilities. Special kids are raising their hourly rates for therapy from $70 per hour to $75 per hour. Daily rates for nursing services will be $150 per day from the $125 per day. The total cost not to exceed $25,000 during the 2019-20 school year, and will be paid from the GP Special Education Funds.
Any questions? Okay, move on to Bedford County.
Yeah, number 2 is a contractual agreement with Bedford County Department of Education. This agreement with Bedford County Department of Education is for provision of deaf education services by Rutherford County schools for one Bedford County student. These services have been provided in the past. The Bedford County Department of Education will reimburse Rutherford County $135 per day for the 2019-20 school year.
Any questions on that? All right. Agreement with Faulkner University.
All right, number 3 is contractual agreement with Faulkner University. This agreement is to allow Rutherford County schools to serve as a clinical placement for speech and language pathologist interns for Faulkner University. This gives us a great opportunity to be able to observe, to see those interns, how effective they may or may not be, and perhaps maybe even hire them in our district. So this gives us a leg up on a lot of other districts.
Okay. Questions on that? All right. License and legal service agreement.
Okay, licenses and service agreement for Insights to Behavior Software. This agreement is for the district site license for behavior intervention software, which includes training modules for staff, behavioral tracking data, collection tools, and software to assist teachers and staff in documentation required for behavioral intervention for students, and this will be at a cost of $115,000 using transfer out funds budgeted through IDA Part B for the Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervention Services. This is part that addresses what we were identified along with 25 other districts in the state of Tennessee, disproportionality of discipline for students with special needs.
Have any questions on that? All right, move right along.
Yeah, number 5 is the same part with the disproportionality, but this is additional positions using transfer out of funds for the comprehensive coordinated early intervention services. The following positions have been budgeted using transfer out of funds to address disproportionality of discipline for students with disabilities. These positions are in addition to the positions previously discussed for the 1920 general purpose budget. An additional instructional liaison to address needs, the additional behavior educational assistance to assist with individual student behavior needs. This would be 2 positions here in that area.
Anybody have a question on that? Okay, move on to the next.
These are some budget amendments in our General Purpose Fund 141. The first one is our student management system, the in-house attendance software training. This training is for a new software system. It is being handled in-house, and funds are needed for the July 2019 training sessions. This is a continuation of the training that was performed in June. The vendor offered to do the training at $1,500 per day and limited the class size to 15 to 20 people per session.
Yes, sir.
The
Got a
next
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When we buy this software, is there a reason we separate out the training differently?
Right. What they were going to charge us for training is we were going to have to bring in trainers in, pay for their travel, pay for their per diem daily, and an hourly rate. So what we did is we streamlined the process where we did get some of the training, but then we want to go to the train-the-trainer model where our people are actually our resources. And they will, however, will provide some online stuff that we can reference back to if there's any issues when we run into full implementation, which will be here soon.
Okay,
So we're actually saving money is what we did there.
that's a good thing.
To your knowledge, Mr. Spurlock, do you know, are we the only one using this system?
No, Williamson County uses Skyward. A lot of I think Sumner County perhaps maybe uses it, but the one that's closer to our site, Wilson County uses it, but is Williamson County. They've been using it for years.
Okay, number 2.
Yeah, number 2, I guess we continue on with the next one, the Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervening Services. This amendment provides the following positions that we budget by using transfer out of funds to address disproportionality of discipline for students with disabilities and positions in addition to the positions previously discussed in the fiscal year of 1920. Okay. Number 2, agreement for legal services. Mr. Jeff Reed and his firm have served as attorney for Board of Education for over 25 years. In order to provide an updated agreement for accounting, attached is a restated agreement for legal services for Jeff Reed and his firm. The agreement provides for a 1-year term, which renews but allows any party to terminate upon 30 days' notice.
Any questions?
Just the only question I'd have, I read over everything to me looked good. I appreciate the rate Mr. Reed's charging us, which I think probably is on the low side, but Ms. Page, I guess you've looked over all this, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, facilities.
Okay, facilities. Rockville Middle School. Principal Fred Barlow is requesting to install 2 vinyl awnings over doorways in the hallways of other schools, like other schools in the district, at no cost to the school board. Engineering and Construction has reviewed this request and finds it acceptable. I think there's a picture in there. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does. Any questions on that? Okay, AT&T.
Yeah, Mr. Lee, would you like to go over that?
In the past, the board has been asked by a number of cell phone carriers to build towers on vacant property that we have, and typically those towers are the 350, 400 feet tall, take 6, 7 acres, big fenced area, and those kind of things. And as a board, we've kind of stayed away from them. This is different. I really don't have an opinion one way or the other. As far as direction, I do think it's a nice-looking product. But AT&T has requested through a subcontractor, Mastech Network, they would like to install a 32-foot tall small cell pole. Most of our light poles on our, at Stewart's Creek's where they're asking to do this on Red Hawk Parkway. It's kind of the intersection between the elementary and the middle in front of the high school. Those light poles there are 18 or 24 feet, depending on whether they're in the parking lot or the road. So it would be a little bit taller. It's a black cylinder. They do provide the option of a light, make it look like a lamp post. And if the board was to be so inclined, I would recommend that we put the light pole on it, the light kit on it, just to light that area up a little bit. They also have the option of providing breakaway bolts, because this would be a little bit more in the, not necessarily in traffic, but it would be a little bit more accessible to someone that was to lose control in the middle of the road. With the breakaway bolts, it would allow for it to break away and not bend over the car. But basically, they're asking for a 10-year lease at $150 a month. And I don't have a motion associated with this. I was bringing it forward for y'all's information with pictures, try and answer any questions that you may have, and then I can get back with them, or we can make it a motion and you can go forward. But I did want to bring it forward because it is different than anything we've seen in the past. I'll be glad to answer questions.
Is the pole for Wi-Fi, or is it a cell tower, or what are they going to?
It's going to increase AT&T's service in this area. Our schools typically are low cell zones where we don't have a lot of service. I don't know who all has AT&T, but most of these cell towers, when they get put in places like this, they're able to allow other cell providers to use theirs at a nominal fee. Don't know what that is. But it's to improve their cell service in this area.
So more than one cell provider.
Typically, they use each other's equipment for a fee. It's kind of like Comcast gets on a pole, but AT&T's selling internet service now, so as long as they're on the pole, they kind of use each other's things.
I know this is not a lot of money, but where would we designate this money to? Could it go into capital improvements or?
Jeff, we have really thought about, we can place it wherever. We could leave it, I guess there for the schools there to use, or we could put it in the general fund. It can be used kind of however y'all decide where you would like to put it.
Do you have pictures of this tower?
Yes, sir.
Share with us?
Yes, sir.
Do you have it in the,
Oh, it's
It's on
it's
the,
on the,
on the internet. It's part of the packet. Yes, sir.
iPad's dead, so I'll look at
I'm
it.
sorry, I didn't bring individual copies. I apologize.
best I remember, it is right out close to the Red Hawk Parkway.
It's in the median of Red Hawk between the two north and southbound lanes.
So it's,
Is that rental fee sort of standard?
I've never seen a proposal like this because this is the first one of these. This is something new that's becoming the because so many people are opposed to the tall towers, the carriers have begun to figure out ways to add smaller, multiple towers, and this is the wave of the future. This is the new thing.
Because if we're helping them, $150 a month to us is one cable bill.
Don't disagree.
While you're at it, you want to go ahead and kind of give us an update on the Rocky Fork Elementary and the Rockville High?
Yes, sir. Rocky Fork Elementary, we received the temporary certificate of occupancy last week. It's allowing us to move in furniture. Teachers will be there next week. The staff there's, we're setting up the classrooms at this time, receiving all of our equipment. No issues for the open house August 4th. Rockville High School, we received the temporary certificate of occupancy this past Friday. We still have a few things there to work out, nothing major. We think we'll have all those worked out on Wednesday. And at that time, we'll get the final certificate of occupancies. Typically, the way the state does, they like to allow the teachers to get their rooms completely set up, make sure that we get things put away, and they can come in and see the pictures hanging on the wall and the decorations and where all they hung the artwork and all that kind of thing before they actually give us the final, because once they do that, they don't come back and see us for a year. So they kind of wait. That we probably won't get our actual final for either school till August the 1st, the Friday before open house. It's typical for the state. They just like to let us get as far as we can get so they can see as much as they can before they give us the final inspection. We're in the process of getting...
Quick on, what's taking place currently, like with the contractors and the subcontractors? What are they doing?
At Rocky Fork Elementary, predominantly most of the contractors that are there are working on punch list items.
Gotcha.
Things that we found defects in. They are finishing up a few items that are not 100% complete. They'll have those this week or next, which is fairly typical. At Rockville High, we definitely have more contractor workmen on site than normal. It's been a challenge, but we're gonna make it. I will compliment Dylan Potter. He's our new project manager that came to work for us last year. He's done a really outstanding job working through this. It has been a challenge, but they did complete the majority of the work. So as far as the final cleanup goes, Rockville's a little bit behind Rocky Fork Elementary, but we will. There won't be any problems for open house or for. We have a few events next week. We have the principals meeting there next Thursday, and we got the kitchen final cleaned and the cafeteria final cleaned over the weekend. And I did not get a chance to get there today, but Dylan said it looks real good.
I try to avoid it going out that way. Is the turning lanes, all that?
We're finished.
We're finished with that?
Yes, sir.
Maybe I don't avoid it anymore.
Yeah, no, we finished that last week. They do lack a little bit of the finished painting, but as far as the pavement and the primary painting, it is complete, and TDOT has accepted it. And speaking of that, Eagleville, there's been some questions about the entrance at Eagleville. They have finished that. We will be taking up the barricades tomorrow for the new back entrance, and they will be barricading the unauthorized entrance that's been used for the last little bit. We're going to be barricading that off so they can't use it. But the contractor did order the wrong blinking lights. They've reordered those. They're probably going to be 3 to 4 weeks, so they may not be here before school gets started, but that's okay. We'll still be able to use the new entrance. So that is also completed this week.
That's good news.
And last but not least, Rock Springs Annex Edition. The contractor mobilized 3 weeks ago. We're hoping till the monsoon, I hope my shot rock pad's still there in the morning. But they had done their mass grading and they had the shot rock pad in. We were there should be starting plumbing underground and foundations this week and next. So that project's already underway.
That's adding how many rooms?
20 total, some of them are small.
Right.
It's 21.
21 rooms. We'll have some free
And a new
portables,
cafeteria.
right?
Sir?
We'll have some free portables next year, right?
2.
Okay.
I think there's a long line of requests.
Wes?
There'll be 2 available and 32 requests.
Mr. Lee, while we got you, you want to go ahead and talk about our problem with buses parking?
Yes, sir. I reached out to Mr. Estes last week. We are in the process, last year we started with a comprehensive of analysis of our facilities, and we started out inside the building, air conditioning, roofing, those kind of things that you were able to see last year. This year we're expanding that to get outside. What we have begun to find is we have a fairly large number of contract bus drivers that use our campuses as their personal parking lots. It's where they leave their buses overnight. It's where they leave their buses. Some of them leave them there year-round. The problem we have is a lot of the locations that they're using to park are parking lots. And in their defense, they think they're out of the way by getting into the parking lots. The problem is the parking lots are light-duty paving. They're not designed to support the continual the weight of a bus. And they're also, this time of year when they leave, a lot of our contractors do private work, field trips for daycare centers. They do things for the YMCA. They do a lot of these kind of things, which we have no problem with, but they turn, and the asphalt this time of year gets soft. In fact, last year, we allow the Rutherford County Fire Department to use our schools for a lot of their training during the off-season when we're not there, and they inadvertently took a new ladder truck into one of our parking lots and did over $100,000 worth of damage to one school. And we worked with the county to work out that sort of thing. But we have a very large, our schools are getting larger. We haven't put a final number to it, but we're over $100,000 today in pavement repairs where these buses have been parking. I did talk to Mr. Everett, find out a little bit more of the history of how these buses got here, and I've talked to some of the principals. We do have some staff members that drive buses. They drive a bus in the morning, they work in the cafeterias, they're custodians, those kind of things. So those kind of folks, I think maybe we could, I don't want to say make an exception, but if we could let them stay in a drive lane, because they get there about the time the kids are there. They're not going to be blocking the traffic. But most of those drivers drive their buses home when they go home in the evenings. The problem we have is the ones that are staying overnight. So I did talk to Mr. Everett. How did we get, what his knowledge was? He knew it as well, so we did some investigating, and some of this started some time back. But we don't pay deadhead mileage. In other words, if you live in Las Casas and your route is in Laverne, from your home till you start your route, they don't pay. It's like a truck driver. If they're empty, they don't get paid. They only get paid when they're loaded and hauling freight. So some of this started with as a way to assist the drivers that, maybe had deadhead miles. We have looked at that this year. We have not fixed everybody. There's been some drivers that have different routes this year. We've tried to keep them, if they lived in that area, we've tried to keep them in those areas. If they didn't live in that area and they were had to get a new route, we tried to get them closer to their area. We also tried to make sure that we kept their mileage and their dollars, what they were, going to bring home. We did as best we could to keep all of that the same. So the deadhead was part of how they got there. And I don't know how we address that. But what I'm trying to let you folks know is it's becoming increasingly expensive for us to repair these paving areas where we could be working on air conditioning or something else. So I did want to bring that to your attention. We would like to, I guess if I'm asking a request, it would be we would like to politely ask them to find someplace else to park. And I don't know how our insurance would look. I don't know how that works. If a bus was to get damaged, that's a private contractor's parked overnight on county property. I don't know how that works.
I have a question. About how many buses are we looking at that are doing this?
12 to 15.
All over the county? Or
Yes,
is
ma'am.
it-
They're scattered. It's not, there's 2 at Smyrna High. There's a couple at Rockvale. They park out in that, they thought they were doing a great thing. They park out in the big parking lot that was to the side of the middle school. That's now going to be for the athletic area. They've been parking there. There's 2 or 3 there. There's a couple at the elementary across the street. But it's scattered. They're random. It's all around the county. It's not just one place.
Any other questions?
Oh, I do. Can we go back to the portables? I'm sorry. Laverne Middle received 2 new portables?
3.
3, okay. I know that there's a list that was circulating around. When you have time, it's not an emergency, but can you update that list so we know
Yes.
who's got what?
We have that updated. I can get that out.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, something about the AT&T request, I don't know, it just didn't really sit right with me, and I'm not sure why. It may be me. I've read it 4 times now, and I figured out what's bothering me. The $150 per month is bothering me. I don't think that's near enough. If we're going to improve their profits in that area, and we're talking 10 years, I mean, that's only $1,800 a year. I mean, I'm just, who came up with the $150 as if I didn't know already? Let's just pretend I don't know. Who came up with that?
That's the number when I asked what the rent was, that's the number AT&T sent me.
Okay.
Because I was like you, that was the first question I wanted to know. I said, I want to know what you're
Well,
willing
there's
to
a number of
pay.
things on here that the attorneys are going to have to take care of, and I'm sure that and they'll report back to us, and I understand there's going to be a study and blah, 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 if we're interested. And I guess if we're not going to use that property, and evidently we're not, for anything, really. I mean, we're not going to put a new driveway there ever. We're talking 10 years here. So we're not going to expand the building over this piece of property because it's in the median and et cetera, et cetera. If all that works out, then I think, maybe we ought to come up with another figure. I don't know what that would be, but I'm just throwing that out there.
A lot of people pay that much in 1 month's cell phone.
That's what I said. One cable bill.
Okay. Why don't you, Mr. Lee, you and Mr. Everett work on that bus situation and you might want to check with those contractors that leave their buses there, because they may be able to leave it somewhere else. But we can't afford to spend $100,000 over 2 or 3 years on parking lots. We don't need to. Well, where the bus lanes are, that's a little different pavement where the bus lane runs, right?
Yes, sir, but typically all of the bus lane areas are right around the building. Those are no parking because of fire purposes, for fire truck access. Now, we could get them, maybe leave them in the road, the drive lanes, and get them out away from the school, as long as we could leave access for the fire department trucks. That may be a possibility. And they may be willing to, if we can assign each school a designated spot, I just don't want it to, once we start assigning spots for buses to park, we're going to go from 15 to
50?
20 to 25. The next thing I know, we're trying to find a home for 300 buses. And that's why I came to y'all with my dilemma.
Well, I don't think it's the school system's job to furnish a parking place for contract buses.
See the one at Whitworth, Cannon, and it's a long way from the school, and it's on the main road, but it's on the dead end part of it back, and it's always backed in there. I assume the driver, he or she works there probably. I would assume that that's a good parking place. But I also see them, and so do y'all, at a lot of other places. I see one at Kroger's all the time, and there's one on Old Fort Parkway out there all the time. So I assume that they work there, and they're driving the bus to their second job, which is understandable. But I hope they're not tearing up anything anywhere else. I guess if they were, they wouldn't be parked there, would they? I don't guess.
Insurance,
Next meeting's next month.
director's update,
I have something Thursday night.
okay, TLM,
We'll have something Thursday night.
federal,
Pretty quiet.
general discussion. Anybody have anything?
I think I'm going to be on the radio tomorrow, right?
Do
I'm going to be on the radio tomorrow. WGNS. You going to tune in? I don't know. You going to call in?
Communication guy, I don't know.
Are you on Brian's program tomorrow, Rutherford Issues?
That's probably it, WGNS.
I'm not sure. Mr. Chairman said be there at 10 o'clock,
That sounds like a good plan.
right? Hey, it's on my calendar. That's got to be right.
All right, anything else?
It's not raining.
Okay, nothing else, we're adjourned.